having a shutter dial for changing the settings. What is going on? What did I just do? Ah, I pressed this button by mistake. Fun accident, I guess. Okay. Today we are having a look at the Cosina CT-7 Computer, which is an SLR made in 1980 in Japan. And this Cosina brand is probably not the most well-known camera manufacturer, but at that time they actually made quite a few SLRs, so maybe they were not so unknown, I don't know. I got this camera for free, so I mean, I guess I'm quite lucky, but it's not like a professional model, super expensive or anything, so, but in case, let's have a look at it. On one hand, this camera is a very standard 1970s 35mm SLR. On the other hand, there are some very typical 1980s design elements of this camera. First and foremost, there is no shutter dial, like a knob to turn. Instead, you have these push buttons to change the shutter speed. Now, when you put in the batteries, it by default goes to aperture priority, but you can go to manual with this MX and change the shutter speeds up and down with this happy beeping accompanying it. Yeah, there's not so much you can do with this. You can go between aperture priority and manual mode and change the shutter speeds. I'm not really a fan of this sort of design. I prefer having the dials. Probably this seemed like a very good idea in the 1980s. I've seen some other cameras with it. For example, the Pentax 645, the first version has it, and probably this is also very common on pocket cameras from the time. One reason I don't like this is because you don't see what shutter you have selected when you're not looking in the viewfinder, and also when you're looking in the viewfinder you don't have the information for what aperture you have set, so it's a bit, yeah, it's not very ideal in that way, so you have to remember what aperture you're on. The other thing, which is very, well, typical 1980s, is the plasticness of this body. I don't think this is metal, it seems very plastic. It is top cover. I don't know, maybe this is metal here. The motor drive is definitely plastic, and the cover for it had also fallen off. I don't know if they had, like, previous owner had dropped it or if it's just bad quality to begin with, I don't know. But this is very plasticky overall. The lens mount that this camera uses is the Pentax K, so there should be plenty of lenses available for it. And the lens I got with this one is a Chinon Auto Chinon multi-coated 28mm 2.8 lens. I mean, this lens is like build quality is quite okay, I think. I mean, I have not done any pixel peeping or anything, but the pictures I taken with this lens have turned out quite nice, I think. As I said, it's quite standard in its operation, so if we remove this motor drive like that, it becomes much lighter and much smaller, and yeah, quite standard winding knob and reverse. And also inside the camera it's nothing strange, quite easy to load, and it takes two 44 LR batteries which go in here. Yeah, I got this camera with the motor drive, and I have to say it's quite a good addition to it. I mean, it gives quite a good grip, at least in this direction, and the speed of it is supposed to be 2 FPS. Maybe, I don't know for sure, it sounds a bit slow. In this direction there's also the button, but in the portrait mode it's not very nice to grip. I mean, maybe I have to big hands or something, I don't know. I don't really find good grip because it sort of starts touching the lens, or the lens is in the way for my fingers, so I don't know if I have too meaty fingers or what, but yeah, it's a bit more difficult to hold that way. On the side here there's a small button which is for locking the auto exposure, and on the front there is a self timer. You just press this button and self timer turns on for 10 seconds. Yeah, and there's really nothing strange about this camera other than the push buttons, so yeah. After having shot one roll with this camera, I have to say that it's actually a good camera. That is, if you can ignore the push buttons and a bit plastic build quality of it. One good thing is that the viewfinder is quite big and the size is quite small, if you take away the motor drive, that is. And overall it worked without problem. It's very standardized, and yeah, nothing was failing, and this camera is, well, over 40 years old and still working without problems. So it was quite well built, I guess, even though the material choice is a bit cheap at some parts on it. So I mean, it's not a bad camera, you can take quite good pictures on it, and the lenses are quite good also. I mean, you have access to the whole Pentax K system, so there's a lot of lenses to choose from. The biggest problem with this camera is probably that there are many more interesting and better cameras from this time period. But in any case, if you have any questions about this camera, just write in the comments. Otherwise, if you like this video, remember to like it. And also, if you want to see more videos like this, you can subscribe. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video. Bye!